Hello, StarCraft fans. This is Falcon Paladin coming to you with yet another weekly issue of Midrank Madness. This is a game between Pain and Yoda on Dusk Towers. Yes, this is Midrank Madness. I decided to name it that because I got feedback on my last weekly cast of this. The intention of this is to highlight gold to diamond level play. I just felt like that section of StarCraft players were feeling left out, and a lot of people are in there, so hey, let's give this a shot. In the top of Dusk Towers, we have the red Protoss player. It is Pain. And in the bottom of Dusk Towers, we have the blue Zerg player. It is Yoda, representing Primig, or Primig, possibly. Looks like a pause has been requested here by Yoda. It is a PVZ here on Dusk Towers. Now again, if you'd like to submit a replay to Midrank Madness, go ahead and send it to falconpaladin@gmail.com with the subject of Midrank Madness. I don't have to spell it perfectly, but just gonna generally have those words in there. If I don't see that, I'm not going to go ahead and read your email. We have that. We also have the Into the Void series for low level, for bronze all the way up to gold level, if you're interested in submitting for that as well. And if you're masters or higher, shoot that on over. Just put your rank in the title as well, and I'll take a look at it. I'm doing a lot of procasts right now, but I definitely do want to throw in everybody's replays, make sure that everyone is indeed represented, and we should be happy with that. So it looks like Pain actually went for a Nexus first here against Zerg into his gateway. It's a hatch first from Zerg against his Protoss opponent, which is not as risky. Pain throws down a Hax confirmed Kappa, which just means that he's joking around. Yoda throws out the little face with the tongue sticking out. I wonder if these guys know each other. It's entirely possible. Sometimes they do have friends play each other in custom games or on the ladder. They kind of run into each other that way. But regardless, it looked like when Nexus into Gateway into double assimilator here for Pain. It's a fairly standard build. Looks like the timings make a bit of sense here. He's immediately throwing workers into his assimilators. Okay, almost immediately. Close enough. I will take that. Meanwhile, the Zerg player does have a single gas and a spawning pool coming up along with his hatchery. So again, the timings are good. This is what differentiates players who are in this level. Basically, the ones who are from Platinum to Diamond, is their timings are good. They have builds, they know what they're doing, but the micro and the decision making can be a little bit lax, a little bit less than you'd expect if it was a Masters or GM level player. So we'll see how they hold out. Oh, even going for a third hatch here. Did he scout at all? Do these players just know each other? No, no one has done any scouting whatsoever except for this Overlord heading on up, and we'll see something eventually, but not much at all. But I mean, at this point, Yoda is really playing with fire here, going for that third hatch. If it was like a 3 gateway proxy with Zealots, he'd be completely dead at this point. Even if it was just a 2 gateway opening with Adepts, he'd be in a lot of trouble because he doesn't have any Queens out quite yet. He does now, but Queens aren't as fast as Adepts. Adepts can run around using that Psionic Transfer. All these drones would likely be in trouble, but you know what? If it works out for you, then hey, it was a smart move. So nice job, Yoda, getting that third hatch up before his opponent is able to get a third Nexus up, and this should serve him well, because this Chrono Boost right now, if you'll notice, it is 26 to 22 Harvesters. At this point in the game, Protoss is usually ahead in worker count because of that Chrono Boost, but able to have basically 3 hatches out. Going for that hatch first, getting the Queens up, injects looking fantastic for Yoda. Basically means he's able to get out his workers up at a higher level than you would expect with just a standard 2 hatch opening. A Robo Facility does seem to be the tech of choice right now, but at the 3-minute and 30-second mark. Again, the timings are a little bit off, a little bit slower than you might expect, just because, again, these are not professional or GM level players, but at the same time, looking pretty good. Looking pretty sharp. Has another gateway coming up, getting his Cybernetics core, researching a Warp Gate, not chrono boosting that, working on his workers and his probe count, which is exactly what he wants to do here. 2 Scouting Lings come on up, get right on inside, exactly what Yoda wanted to do. They now have speed. They'll be hard for the Adept to catch. And this Ling, again, at checking, does see the third Nexus, which is a little bit bold from our Protoss player Pain, but I like to see it. I like the boldness. This Zergling with speed is doing a great job staying alive. Got a full scout off. Did see the robotics facility queuing up some units here. That's not something you want to do, even at this level. What this means is that these units right here, the robotics facility took your money, but it's not actually making anything for you. So this is money, this is gas, this is minerals that could be used elsewhere to build more things. Rather than sitting here at your robotics facility invested in things you don't have yet and are not actually on the way. So keep that in mind if you're a Protoss player, and if for your robotics facility or your Stargate, don't queue things up like this. Do them one at a time. I know it takes more babysitting, but it definitely makes a difference in the long run. Meanwhile, back to the Zerg base. A lot of Lings are here. I don't know how I feel about that. Having a lot of Lings without being aggressive with them just seems like a recipe to lose the game, because these could be drones. If these Lings actually popped up and got us around on that Adept, they could probably kill a couple probes here. Maybe even threaten the Nexus. When all is said and done, killing these forges would also be fantastic. But as it stands, if they're just playing defensively, there's no reason to do this. As Zerg, what you want to do is send a couple Zerglings up here to the front and see if an attack is moving out. If an attack is moving out, then you make some Lings, then you make some Roaches to defend against it. But as it stands, preemptively making, what is this, like 20 Lings doesn't do anything for you. These Roaches as well. This could be drones. And now look, 35 to 38 total harvesters. Yoda has fallen out of the lead, mostly due to this army that is not being aggressive and not actually defending. So as Zerg, that's exactly how you want to play this. Otherwise, I like what Yoda is doing. 6-minute lair, going for an infestation pit and a Hydralisk den. He has a Roach Warren as well. Now he's moving out with his Lings and a few Roaches, but it just seems like it's a little bit late. Although at this point, if the Lings get up here and surround this Immortal, take it down, the Roaches, when they finally show up, should be able to get in there and do some damage. +1 and +1 on the way for those ground units, including the Roaches and the Hydras. Where's that Roach Warren? There it is. Does he have speed? No, speed is not on the way. Glial Reconstitution, not a thing. I would recommend getting that if you have this many Roaches. If you're just making 2 or 3, don't necessarily go for Roach speed, but if you have a bunch of them, then no, Lings, get up there. There you go. The Lings trying to get a strand on that Immortal. Pretty good micro from Pain, moving that Immortal back, firing as he goes. The Lings changing target, trying to take down that pylon, but there's double photon overcharge here. There are back home. It was a pretty good push. They didn't actually even kill the Immortal or a pylon, so I mean, other than striking the fear of God into his Protoss opponent, I don't think Yoda did a whole lot there to acquit himself. Observer running on through, this Queen could inject. Again, a tip that I've shared before in Into the Void is if you want to set up a timer on your phone to beep every 30 seconds or whatnot, what that will mean is it will kind of train you to inject with your Queens on that rhythm. It's a rhythm thing. You kind of have to feel it when it's time to inject, when it's time to go back to your hatcheries and inject with your Queens, because that's pretty much what the pros have to do, is have enough injects on perfect timing, mind you, to make things happen. I do like that it looks like he has queued up some injects here, which is nice. If you're a lower level player and your Queens have lots of energy, you can actually do another inject here. And what it will do is queue up one, so when this inject finishes, it will automatically stick another one on there without you having to manually do anything. It's automatic, it's very nice, and it's something I recommend, again, for everybody to do if your Queens have a little bit too high of energy, which is something that is definitely, that happens. I've been known to have that happen to me once or twice, believe it or not. The creep spread is also good. Could be better. This one is ready to go. This one just about finishing. This one as well. Looks like the timing might make sense if he starts pushing them out now. I like how he has multiple creep tumors covering a wide fan away from his base. The creep is something Protoss players don't necessarily like to walk on. Alright, now this composition here from Pain looks like very much Wings of Liberty, just because of the Stalkers and the Zealots and the Immortals here. Just kind of a standard 1 or 2 base play. A little bit late here as well, 8 minutes and 55 seconds. Really need to be spending his money here, does Pain. He has 1,300 minerals and 1,100 gas in the bank. Spend your money, players. If you see this going on, that you have a lot of money, do exactly what Pain is doing. Throw down additional gateways. Throw down additional robotics facilities. Get more production structures. 3 base Protoss can support a lot of production, obviously. And so getting those gateways up is definitely going to help. I'd like to see another robotics facility, maybe 2. That seems like it would be nice, but this composition here is pretty good. The Immortals are there to handle the Roaches, the Zealots there for the Lings, the Stalkers there for any Mutas that maybe show up. The problem is this is all pretty weak to Hydras, which is something that our Zerg player does have. He has a small group of them. The infestors here are going to be pretty big. If they can throw down some fungal growths to plant and keep things in place while the Hydra snipe them from a distance, that can be very useful. Again, though, this is high platinum diamond level, and so I don't expect to see necessarily the best micro or the best decisions there. However, perhaps Yoda will surprise us. Lurker Den is on the way here for Yoda, as well as +2 missile attack and glial reconstitution now being researched. Extended thermal lance on the way. Colossus in production, and I was going to say, is there another robotics facility? Because I don't see any robotics facilities making Colossus right now. I'm not sure why extended thermal lance is in your plans if you're just making immortals. I guess for those of you who don't know, extended thermal lance increases the range of Colossus, so their laser beams shoot out farther, which is great because they're a lot better when they're not getting hit by stuff, and the farther they can shoot from, the easier that is for them to do. But if you don't actually have any Colossus, then I don't know what the intent is of getting extended thermal lance. Perhaps that was a misclick by Pain, I don't know. Either way, it looks like, again, the extra gateways are up, but it seems as though they're ready to go and not being used at all here. So Pain has the supply available to do this, but unfortunately doesn't have the APM necessary to actually create a whole bunch of units right here at the front line. I mean, he could make, what, 20 zealots there, a whole ton of stalkers, a bunch of immortals as well if he had those extra robotics facilities around, but he doesn't. He's just kind of hanging out outside the creep. Again, it's very scary to move on to the creep here. Oh, some Vipers in. Oh my goodness, this is very spellcaster heavy composition here, even including the Ravagers. They do have a spell. Corrosive Bile launches a missile at a target location, dealing 60 damage to all units in the area upon impact. And here comes the dance, and going for it here is Yoda. Fungal Growth is actually thrown down. Corrosive Bile landing on a couple of the immortals there, lowering them down on health as well, then backing on out. And that's good. That's something that the pros do a lot. If you watch any of my casts with professional players, what they'll do is they'll dance in. If they don't like how things are going, if they feel like they're just kind of throwing their units into a meat grinder, they'll just back out. There's no reason to retreat or not retreat unless you're right at your front door, and you're going to lose tech structures if you do so. But here at this point, backing out is okay. So coming in once again, any spells being thrown down. The Infestor's going right at the front line, throwing down a Fungal Growth on top of those Stalkers. More Corrosive Biles being thrown down, trying to kill what they can in the back there. A cannon does end up falling, but the Immortals are just doing terrible, terrible damage to everything here. Yoda losing a lot of his army, doing damage as well, but a bunch of Hydras dying. The Zealots right on top of Hydras is not where Hydras want to be. They need something shielding them, and so Yoda backs on out here. So I'd say in that engagement, the problem, I don't know. I think the problem might have been allowing those Zealots to get right on up on top of the Hydras and kill them as quickly as they did, losing a couple Ravagers for nothing. At this point, creep spread again looking fantastic, but Pain is emboldened by the fact that he won that last engagement so decisively. Infestor ends up dying, Hydra falls as well. A few scattered roaches are here regrouping with the Hydras, trying to do what they can. That's actually a lot of roaches, and again, do they have +2/+2? They do have +2/+2, which is great. The upgrades for the Protoss army are +2/+2 as well, but now being the aggressor, here is Yoda trying to push this Protoss army back on home, doing a pretty good job of it, although I think Pain was planning on going home anyway. He's now making Colossus, getting +3 ground weapons, which is fantastic. Again, getting these forges early and getting those upgrades going will really serve you, especially as Protoss. Those upgrades help you immensely. As you get a bigger army, the more upgrades you have, the more damage you're going to do. I know it makes sounds really obvious, but it's definitely very true. So Yoda here is struggling to get gas. You'll notice this. So what you want to do when you take your 4th base Zergs is get those geysers. Don't worry about the minerals necessarily, because look how many minerals he has. 4,000 minerals in the bank. Get gas here. Maybe throw another hatchery down. Get gas here as well. Just because your composition here as a Zerg is always going to be gas heavy. There's not much you can do with just straight minerals. And these DTs here hacking away at the Ravagers, forcing them back to the safety of the creep. The Dark Templar decide not to pursue any further. So again, it's a 4-base Protoss with a lot of money in the bank and not fully maxed out. This should definitely be a maxed out Protoss here. Colossus are on the way, and there are 2 robotics facilities, but they're not both in use at the same time. Something Pain should definitely focus on. Getting the shield upgrade. What is that called? Yeah, just shields. Shields upgrade. A Templar Archives on the way. When in doubt, go for all the tech as Protoss. I can't argue with that one at all. Doing a pretty good job moving his workers off the minerals. He does have a few scattered remnants here. He should recognize what's going on fairly soon. These guys as well are idle, or one of these is idle on this assimilator. Always just take a quick glance at your mineral lines, especially your main base throughout the game, because if this is happening, you're leaving minerals on the table. Excuse me there, just had a bit of a cough that I put you on mute for. Creep spread continuing by Yoda. I see a lot of players who do a lot of good creep spread in the early game, then they kind of give up. And it kind of doesn't go farther than maybe here on this map, but continuing to push out. I'd like to see maybe another push here by Yoda. He's setting some Vipers up as well. I'm not sure what the intent of those Vipers are. And really, what did the Vipers do in those previous battles? I didn't see any Blinding Cloud. I didn't see any Abducts, which would have been really nice. Like I said, spellcaster heavy compositions are difficult for lower level players to deal with. Just because there's so much to do in the battle, you can kind of fall prey to what is called battle watching, which is something that I'm also guilty of as a caster. If there is something happening in a battle, you can't watch what's going on. I mean, to some extent, you have to be aware of what's happening. Like, if you're getting wrecked, you should probably retreat. But you need to be able to be macroing back home. You need to be able to throw down spells on different sections of your opponent. Blinding Cloud, maybe on these Archons. A Fungal Growth, maybe on the Zealots, keeping them out of range. Maybe doing a flank on in of Lings from the right side. Roaches and Hydras from the left side. Whatever you have to do as a Zerg player, you can do it here. But both players are now fully maxed out. Again, Yoda has no money in his gas bank here. He does have an Ultra, which has +2 Carapace. No attack upgrades whatsoever. That's something you do have to worry about as a Zerg players. If you get Ultras, you really need to make sure you start those upgrades early. Start the melee attack early. Start the ground Carapace early. And then your Ultras will be powerful here at the 15-minute mark. But if you go for a Roach Hydra composition with Lings mixed in, and then go for Ultras, they're not going to be as tough as they can be. The Immortals, on the other hand, should be fully upgraded, because they benefit from the ground attack, which benefits everything that Protoss has on the ground. Stalkers, Archons, Zealots alike. Taking another base here. I like this from Pain. Would have maybe like to see it a little bit earlier, but it's going to work out. And here comes the Zerg Swarm trundling on up. The Ultras in the front absorbing a lot of the damage. The Colossus, no, getting abducted on in and killed immediately. Are there enough Abducts left, though? No, a Viper ends up flying right into the fire. Archons in the front just doing terrible damage to everything biological here. And indeed, Overseers in the air getting sniped down by Stalkers, and Archons trying to melt them down. And pushing forward here is Pain, clearing out some creep, because why not? Another Overseer falls. Was that all the Overseers for Yoda? I think it might have been. I think it indeed might have been. So once again, Yoda is the aggressor, but Pain comes out on top. I think maybe he needed to do a little bit better scouting, see how many Colossus there were, bring a couple more Vipers to do more Abducts on those Colossus. The Archons as well, where there's a huge problem there. I don't know if the Hydra count was heavy enough to deal with that, but pushing on in here is Pain, feeling very confident, killing an Infestor, killing all of this creep thanks to the help from the Observer up top. Pretty good concave here, though. Corrosive Vials being thrown down, not hitting much of anything, but does force Pain back. Another bit poke up this ramp here for Pain. The Archon does end up falling, and all that's left are a few Stalkers, an Immortal, and 3 Colossus. The Ultras coming around from the backside are going to trap the Ultras here, but no. The Colossus here, but no. Running away. The Immortals stutter-stepping their way, trying to deal with these Ultras. Not actually attacking. They cannot attack while they are moving. And the Ultras now being the aggressors. Once again, more Corrosive Balls thrown down. The Colossus decide to stand still, and they immediately melt, which is a big problem for Colossus. Again, they're kind of glass cannons. They're kind of the Hydras of the Protoss army. And look at this, a panic make of Zealots. Zealots are not that good against this particular composition, especially not with Hydras mixed in. They're pretty good against Ultras, but man alive, especially if the shields, the armor is up to 8. Hey, look, is that fixed? Or is it just missing? I know that Vampiworm was concerned because this used to show a big 7 here on the ground Carapace indicator. Now it doesn't. It doesn't show you actually how the upgrades are, but maybe we just assume it's fully upgraded if there's nothing that shows. I don't know. These latest patches are weird. Big probe transfer down here. Long distance mining. Yep, taking another base. Here is Pain, Observer. Nope, that's Dark Templar. Checking things out. And look, there's no static defense here at all for Yoda, especially with your bases that are far away. Throw up Spore Crawlers, throw up Spines. You can afford it. You have a ton of minerals. Get your workers to where you need them to be, and then just get static defense up. It can be the difference between a single Dark Templar killing an entire base by itself and you having the time to respond with some lings or some roaches to clean up that attack and keep all of your drones alive. Once again, I do like that we're getting gas, but only 2 workers on these gas for some reason. Oh, and no gas income whatsoever here for Yoda. Again, gas is your best friend as Zerg. You need to have as much gas income as you possibly can get. Right now, 500. It should be closer to 700, I think, if we are fully mining from these geysers and these ones as well. But again, Yoda's attention seems to be elsewhere. He seems to be macroing up an army, getting another Viper, more Infestors. I think this money spent on Vipers and Infestors has not necessarily been worth it. That was a good abduct on that one Colossus. Some pretty good fungals were thrown down, but nothing was really attacking them at the main point. Fungling a group of Stalkers who are still able to shoot you in the face is not the greatest way to do things. Again, fungling Zealots so they can't run up to your army and start hacking away with their side blades is a much, much better use of things. Fungling things that are taking direct damage so that the fungal kind of is a damage multiplier. In that way, it's I guess more of an additional damage thing than multiplication. Either way, again, I do like what Yoda is doing with his compositions. He has a pretty good mix of units, which can be good for Zerg. He just kind of needs to make better use of them, I think. Again, getting upgrades for his Kaiser Blades would be nice. He is getting +1 melee now. Void Rays on the way. I like that. That's pretty good. Not much here can shoot up. The Vipers do have the ability to throw a Parasitic Bomb out, which has been the subject of a lot of discussion on my channel recently. Is Parasitic Bomb too overpowered? It does deal 90 damage over 7 seconds to the target and enemy air units nearby. If the target dies, the cloud remains in the air where the enemy died until it expires. It's just pretty good against air, but here we go again. The Ultra's right on in front as Zealots trying to stall as much as they can. Colossus from the backside. A lot of these units cannot attack from Yoda. He needs to get them through the choke and be attacking because these Ultras on their own can only hold for so long. All of them die except for one, and he does manage to take down a single Archon before he ends up exploding. Maybe he gets 2. I guess he does get 2 here. Another Ultra on the left side, tearing through everything. This guy's still alive somehow, and right on top of the Colossus is exactly where he wants to be, but no, a big swell of Zealots in here again. They do have charge. They are +3, +3, +3 Zealots, and chasing Yoda back once again. Where are the Void Rays? Were they part of that battle? I did not see them anywhere. How many are there? Units tab, Void Rays 2. Okay. I don't think they were a part of that battle. If we took the units lost tab. Nope, 2 Void Rays did die. Never mind, I guess they're in there somewhere. The Hydras must have taken them out. But once again, Yoda not able to push through. Still not getting gas from these Vespene geysers. Oh, Yoda. And this one too, a single geyser, but not the other one. And he's spending gas as fast as he could possibly get it. Pain. Also kind of getting mined out on gas here. These guys are not actually mining at all. Probes? Are you trying to expand again? Yep, trying to expand again. Sending all of your probes to expand at a new base. Maybe not the best way of doing things. A huge probe train here as well. Heading on past here, not getting these Vespene geysers. Again, Terran can kind of get away with not having all the gas income in the world because Marines are good and Marines don't cost any gas. But definitely, if you're Protoss or Zerg, get all the Vespene gas you can possibly get. And you'll be very, very happy indeed. So, again, at this level, I would say the things you can really focus on is spending your money. See, look at this. Again, not up to the max level. A lot of money in the bank here. As a Ling counterattack comes right on in. This is something that's really good for Zerg players everywhere. Is doing a Ling counterattack on bases that are undefended entirely. A lot of probes actually falling there. I think that was about 10 or so based on how many have been lost throughout the game. Resources lost tab, 18,000 minerals, 9,000 gas for the Zerg, 16,000 minerals, 8,600 gas lost for Protoss. And again, the Lings just are pretty well upgraded. They do have full carapace. Do they have adrenal glands? No, if you have this many Lings late game, get the adrenal glands upgrade here at the spawning pool, increases the attack speed of Zerglings by 40%. It's just really, really nice. They hit really fast. And so the more damage they do per hit, it really adds up in the long run. Taking another base here is Yoda. Transferring some more workers. Still only 2 on these geysers and still nothing mining from here. Yoda. Yoda, what is going on, my friend? I do not know. Some players have been asking me, what's the difference between Into the Void and these matches? And the difference is, Into the Void kind of needs to be a grab bag of anything lower than Masters. But I'm definitely trying to focus on things that are super lower level, that we're not going to see good strategies necessarily on those Into the Void casts, things that we really need to work on, whereas this Midweek Madness feature will be more players who know what they're doing but just kind of make big mistakes. A lot of Zealots here can probably handle with this many Roaches and this many Hydras, and indeed, +3/+3 Roaches and Hydras do pretty darn well against Zealots. Colossus count through the roof right now, 7 Colossus, again, fully darn upgraded, 15 damage per attack, 2 attacks, a range of 9. Not as much as it used to be, but still pretty darn good against ground-heavy compositions from the Zerg, specifically Yoda. Creep spread could probably be continuing here. APM of these players, about 167 for the Zerg, 100 for the Protoss, playing pretty slow. Actually, the Protoss, which makes sense. Another base over here for Pain. What is going on? I guess we knew that one was there, but not much happening, I guess, is what the concern would be. Very oversaturated on both these bases. Send 10 probes from each of these bases and send them down here. Also, get gas. Get so much Vespene gas. A new composition of Zealot, Archon, Colossus, Void Ray, pushing across now for Pain. We'll have to see how this does. The Ultras on the ground should do fairly well. The Hydras, if they get caught by any of these things, they will die. So they need to be in the back, whatever happens here. But no, getting chased down by a couple of these Zealots all the way back to the main ramp. Wow, what is this? Few Zealots peeling off to kill a Creep Tumor there, and now the Zealots are by themselves. That's not where they want to be. The Zealots need to be supported. Again, they're like Ultras. At the front lines, they can hold things. They're pretty well shielded here. Again, with +3 plasma shields, 4 armor when they're fully upgraded. They're good that way, but they need to hold the line while the Colossus deal most of the damage. Lings running on up are trying to kill Zealots, and the Zealots are actually taking some casualties. More and more Zealots warping in. All right, Pain, you can't make this many Zealots in the late game. They are going to just get evaporated like this. See this group of Zealots completely gone. Oh, this guy survived with a single hit point. Now he's gone. The Colossus are throwing down their fire. Void Rays as well in the air. Archons absolutely trying to do what they can. Using Prismatic Alignment is very good for the Void Rays. It does extra damage here versus armored units. A lot of Ultras are here and doing a ton of damage as well. The Hydras, are there enough Hydras to get rid of the Void Rays? And it looks like there definitely are. Ultras still alive on the ground. Roaches still alive on the ground. A small group of Hydras remaining. An Ultra dies to a cannon and a photon overcharge. Actually, a lot of probes over here might end up getting destroyed as well. Spreading his units a little bit thin here is Yoda, but nothing's in production for Pain. Pain now, again, Desperation Zealots warping them in. I think maybe even Adepts would be better at this point than Zealots, but again, they do get a single surround on an Ultra, kill one of them, but all of them end up falling here at the 27-minute mark. Roaches, and that's it. Wow, GG, says Pain. He is defeated. Pain has left the game. Yoda throws out a GG, and he's going to go ahead and finish killing these buildings, because what's more fun in StarCraft 2 than killing your opponent's buildings after they have left the game? I don't know. If you know something funner or more fun than that, let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for our PvZ Midweek Madness weekly feature. I really hope you enjoyed yourself. Again, I just think it came down to Pain not spending his money well, not making necessarily good composition choices. Zealots, there's a reason they're not used that much in Legacy of the Void. Basically, what you wanted to do is look at the Zerg composition here and see that they had fairly few Hydras compared to the rest of what they had. I think maybe a Sky Toss option would have been better. Mass Void Ray, especially using Prismatic Alignment, would have burned through these Roaches and these Ultras immediately, and then a handful of Hydras might not have necessarily been enough to get through it. Definitely Prismatic Bomb was a concern, but that Viper count right now is 0. 7 Vipers were created, but all 7 of them were dead. So I think maybe switching over, when you see what's going on from the Zerg player into something that isn't necessarily on the ground, might be a better idea. Again, kind of stop making Immortals. Immortals do really well against Roaches and Ultras, which is what this composition was very heavy as well. So in the end, I think there was kind of a panic thing, getting a lot of Zealots, which didn't really do much in the end. And Yoda came out on top, just kept pushing, lost a bunch of armies. Resources lost tab, 23,000 minerals, 11,000 gas, but 29,000 minerals, 11,000 gas for the Protoss. And really not many workers killed either. That's something I would also recommend for Pain, is to get in there and harass. Get some Adept harass in. Get some Warp Prism drops in. I know the APM wasn't that high, but a Warp Prism drop of Dark Templars inside a base can really slow down the Zerg economy and really leave the Zerg scrambling and not enough time to come attack you. And as a Protoss, that's kind of what you want. You want to be on the front door of the Zerg base, killing creep tumors, killing bases, rather than defending back home. It's not your natural state. So that's about it for me. This has been Falcon Paladin with yet another daily Legacy of the Void upload. No, this is a weekly Midweek Madness upload. I was in autopilot there. Let's try that again. This has been Falcon Paladin with yet another weekly Mid-Range Madness upload. Thanks so much for joining me. You can find me on Twitter and Facebook, both at /Falcon Paladin. Again, you can email me your submissions titled Midweek Madness and Into the Void at falconpaladin@gmail.com. And until next time, as always, thanks for watching, and you take care of yourself.